Welcome to the conclusion of another successful hackathon. We are in the final moments of the NANOG 85 hackathon. It's been going on for a little under 2 weeks. We're going to talk to one of the organizers of the event, Aaron. Aaron, tell me about how your experience has been.
It's been great, especially this is my first NANOG back in person after the last 2 years. So it's been great to see everybody's faces, new and former, or previously known. And I always look forward to the hackathon. I participated in many in the past, now more so on the organization side of it. But it really means a lot to NANOG's educational mission in terms of trying to help people learn something while creating something each time around. And I just thank you all for coming online and in person. So yeah, it's been great.
What were you most impressed about during this process?
Yeah, thankfully, time and time again, people can come into a room that, they've never met anyone or worked with them, and they're able to put a team together and create something and learn something at the same time. And, we're all coming from different parts of the world, not necessarily even North America. So it's amazing to see that happen each time, again and again.
Awesome. Is there any participants that would like to offer any insight? So what's your name?
I'm Charles Rumford.
Okay, and what project did you work on?
The build-out viewer.
So how was your experience, Charles?
The experience was good. I really liked the isolated time and space to be able to work on projects that I wouldn't normally be able to work on outside of the workspace for interrupt-drivenness or things of that nature.
What did you find most challenging?
Well, I haven't written JavaScript in a very long time, so dealing with JavaScript was probably the most challenging part of the whole experience for me this year.
What did you find most rewarding?
As always with my development, any kind of development project that I work on, when things start falling into line and being able to see, what you had in your head come up on the screen is always a really great feeling.
I can imagine. So what do you think you would do differently at the future hackathon?
I think for me personally, I would want to spend a little more time before the hackathon thinking about what I wanted to work on and doing a little more requirements in software engineering work beforehand so that I could potentially get more people on board and not be writing everything out of my head so that I can, instead of just making it up as I go along.
That's understandable. Why did you choose the topic that you chose?
I think that a lot of the networking space visualizations are important. I think that there's a lot out there where we just look at data on spreadsheets, things of that nature, and don't really get a good visual of what's going on. And I think the visual is important for people who need to know the information but don't exist in the space.
Absolutely. So what did you then learn about your skill set during this process?
No more JavaScript for me.
Nice. Well, thank you so much for talking to me, Charles. Can you give that microphone to another participant? What's your name?
My name is Jada Milligan.
Nice to meet you, Jada. So tell me what project you worked on.
The Peering VD project where we validating location services.
And tell me about your experience.
Definitely learning about an application like Peering VD and learning like what they're trying to do for the community. Then also just being able to see the different insights into what goes into building these types of processes, and then also just taking into account like why certain ideas won't work or like how they'll affect certain things. So that's one of my main takeaways.
What was most challenging for you?
One of the most challenging things was definitely understanding the concepts that I learned about like in my freshman year and just refreshing my mind about what they are now.
What advice would you give to future hackathon participants?
Future advice I would give is definitely just come out. There's no need to like be afraid. Like if you don't have any coding experience, there's always something you can do on the user interface side or just with features. Just having your input is definitely something that anyone can use.
And why did you choose the topic that you chose?
We chose this topic because it was definitely something we were kind of familiar with in the terms of forward-facing community, like having databases accessible to people. So we definitely want to contribute in that aspect.
And what did you learn about yourself during this process?
Something I learned about myself is that I have good ideas and that, just don't be afraid to put your ideas out there and like receive feedback.
Great. Thank you so much.
My name's Jason Reistenzel. I worked on the automation lab.
Awesome. And Jason, tell me about your experience.
I really enjoyed being able to kind of speed run through learning some AWS CLI and just new tools like Packer that I'd not been exposed to before. It kind of and really being even shown the container lab project itself. I think I'd heard it mentioned, in passing and in some news articles or something, but being exposed to it and see like there's a lot of value in being able to stand up a lab environment for, hey, I want to test out this new topology or something, and I can build a lab that I can test things in pretty quickly now.
Speaking about the value of a scenario in this, which is so hands-on, but also gives you that ability to experiment and test, what would you say to future hackathon participants?
Getting involved in the hackathon is a lot of fun. I really like just kind of being able to get in the room with other people who are all like-minded and just want to take a project and kick around some how can you make it better and improve on what was there before.
What did you learn about your own skill set during this process?
I am not very good at Git.
How does that contribute to how you would do things differently, or if not, if so?
I think it's like a perishable skill to try and use it more often. If you're not using it in a day-to-day run, or putting code into Git, or just kind of running into the problems that everyone else does. There's a lot of consulting Dr. Google for search results.
Do you think there's just as much power in knowing what you're not good at as knowing what you're good at?
Absolutely. I think there's, and being able to understand like where the weaknesses are and going to other people on the team that are a lot more skilled on some of those, I can ask for help and say like, oh yeah, I understand that. And then, there's other things that I was able to share that I know help push the team forward and get, work on the project a little bit more.
Aaron, it looks like we have a full house though.
Yeah. So actually, that's a great segue. One thing that I was going to say is we could always use everyone here's help for recruiting more people for the next NANOG 85 or next NANOG Hackathon, NANOG 86. It's going to be in Hollywood in October. So tell your friends, come along, participate virtually, of course, if you can't make it in person, or otherwise, if you can come in person, we're always welcome to have you. So yeah.
And that concludes Hackathon, NANOG 85 Hackathon. Thanks, guys.